I don't take any labels. I don't label myself. But at the same time, sometimes people use labels to help others better understand ideas they're presenting. I'm not a pro mortalism, and I'm not an anti-natalist. But I agree with some of their philosophies. I agree that this life is a suffering pit of hell, and this is no life at all. This is actually death. Life starts when we cease to exist here. We're just slaves here. Slaves to our biology, slaves to society, culture, government, layered upon layered of slavery, and given no real chance of having free will. We have limited choices. We are in some fallen creation, and I agree that we should not bring children into this place. I do not blame the unawakened, so to say, because they're just following their scripts. And I don't necessarily cast damnation on people for having children. But this is a solo journey. And in a solo journey, I must follow the truth and what's true for me. So what's true for me is bringing children into this existence is an abomination and is very immoral once you get to this level of understanding. And I would in no way want to bring that upon an innocent life. That is my stance. And that agrees with anti-natalist. Then so be it. There is certain truth in these philosophies. Now, pro-mortalism wants to end all life on this planet, so to say, this realm. Well, I don't count this as life. We are in a state of dying. This is a death process of spirit, of every true thing that comes into this realm is digested and perverted with deceptions and lies and suffering. So I don't consider this life. I consider this some kind of death of anything that's good. They call evil good here, basically. So now I would never choose to harm anyone or anything. If people want to live, that is their choice. If people want to continue this existence, that is their choice. Some may say, well, it's not their choice, they're just running scripts. Well, you have to come to a level of truth and knowledge and understanding to go forward with this. You cannot force something to believe or do as you say, because they never gain that inner gnosis to reach that level. And this is a soul trap prison farm. So if you were to, let's say, kill natalist or kill life on earth, it will just be recycled back. It'll be reset, and their consciousness will be put back in here because they never reached that level of gnosis within themselves. So it's, to me, it's kind of a it's pointless. It won't do anything. This place will just be reset and everything will just come back. So this is a solo journey. So I don't believe in destroying life or causing harm to others to bring that end goal. It has to be an inner journey. It has to come from within. Your perception has to change, and you have to yearn for the truth of this place. If you were to just blow everything away, which is impossible, you can't do that. This is a perceptual trap. You have to get to the level of perception to get out of the trap. Don't worry about other people's perception. It's a solo journey. So I think that aspect is wrong, And it's leading people astray to try to fight a world which, if you fight in the physical, it's going to lead you nowhere. This 5 cents prison is the prison. You can't change anything on a mass scale in the physical. You have to escape the prison. And if you want to help those in the prison lead by your example, they have to want to do it. They have to yearn for the truth. They have to come to it within themselves. And if there's any way to shut this place down, it is from the outside, not the inside. So what if there's a big red button on the outside? Would you press it and blow up all life? I don't think that's how it works. I don't think there's a red button that you push that could extinguish all life. I think, if anything, levels of perception that are higher than the normal human functioning can allow one to escape. So if there was a way I could do that, I would do that. But I would not harm or kill anything. Because, like I said, it's a solo journey. And you can have help and people can be at your side, but at the end of the day, we're all leaving this place alone. So quit worrying about what's outside of you and bringing destruction from the outside. Start with the inside and make your escape plan so that when the time comes, you are prepared to leave this place behind for good. And then once you're outside of here, if there's any way you can help others come to a level of perception to realize the trap and to escape, you can do that from the outside. But don't get trapped by wanting to come back in here. Now I'm just rambling. So I'm saying all this because a lot has been stirred up recently with this, I believe, this false flag. And just because I believe it's a false flag psyop doesn't mean that certain people don't hold this view. I know there are many people who hold this view. And when I listened to his manifesto, it sounded a lot like other people who talk about this kind of stuff. So it's not that the idea is a psyop. It's just the events that took place, to me, seem like it was pre-planned by people in control to bring a certain goal, which is most likely to pervert the ideologies of NPCs to believe that not wanting to have children equals people blowing up buildings and people wanting to kill babies. The main thing that I am against is harming other people to bring this end goal. I don't think this end goal is even possible, but I don't believe in harming other people by force. I don't believe in committing acts of terrorism to bring this end goal, because you're always going to harm the innocent by doing these things. Even though he only killed himself, supposedly, he could have hurt hundreds of other people if they were in the vicinity of that explosion, which, to me, I believe the road was blocked off and no one was allowed to get hurt in that way. I'm not saying they don't hurt people in these psyops. All I'm saying is it was planned to happen the way it planned. The way it was planned to happen the way it was planned to happen. And if anyone got hurt in that explosion and they lost their legs, or they had severe brain damage, that would be despicable, in my opinion. You don't want to cause more suffering to other people. You don't want to cause someone to be in a wheelchair their whole life, or to have to be severely injured That I don't think that's a good thing. All right, guys, I'm going to weigh in on this Guy Edward Bartkus situation. Upon research and my due diligence, and knowing what I know about this place, I believe that this was a psyop and a false flag. This kid may be real, but it's very, very, very hard to find any social media presence of this guy, any old photos, any photos besides the one they're giving us. And the one they're giving us is apparently, supposedly, an ID picture of him from his job. And supposedly he works at a school bus company, and he helped special needs kids. So that picture came from that. But I can't really find much more evidence of this kid existing. So if anyone has anything, let me know. I do know that he had a YouTube channel. That took me a lot of work to find. It's banned now. Supposedly had some bomb videos. I don't know if they were actually his. It could be just once he got offline. Assuming he's real. And he was also part of a Reddit community with little to no posts, because I looked at some that were archived and there was not that many. And he had a other YouTube channel which is completely scrubbed. So I have a picture of an archive of one of his videos, but there's really no footprint of this guy and no pictures, and no one's coming out to say they know him. So if he is real, then he is obviously a patsy and has been contacted and led and lured to do this by the military. And the largest marine base in the world is in 29 Palms, which is 5 miles away from his house on the same road, and which is about 50 miles from this spot. And as you can see, it has 9/11 on the building, a telltale sign of a false flag psyop. 911 right there in plain sight. Get away. And you can see this perfect blast hole that is left right below American Reproductive for the classic picture. The classic picture for everyone to see. That is actually a wall where the hole is. There were no doors or windows there. So it blew out a perfect chunk, leaving the name of the building intact for the perfect photo op of any false flag. So I think the street was closed down beforehand. There were no tire marks or anything. No one got hurt. No one was outside when this happened. And here's the money shot. Right below the sign is the perfect shot for everyone to be trauma-based mind controlled. Right there. You couldn't plan it any better than that. 5535 Adobe Road. This is Guy Bartkus's house. Exactly 5 miles from the largest marine base in the entire world. Do you think that's a coincidence? Do you think that he wasn't contacted and used as a patsy for this explosion to most likely demonize antinatalists and other like-minded individuals, and to also further their agenda to limit free speech and other things of that nature? and to give antinatalists a bad name, to hinder the movement, so to say, and to make everyone look like to make everyone look like terrorists and lunatics that no one should pay attention to. So Guy lives in 29 Palms, which is also home of the largest U.S. Marine Corps base in the U.S. So 29 equals 119, which is the 9/11 false flag numerology as well. So you have 9/11 here, and you also have 9/11 at the address which was bombed. How many coincidences can you start adding up to make this seem a little suspicious?
Authorities have discovered large quantities of highly explosive materials inside the home of alleged IVF clinic bomber Guy Bartkiss, including what appears to be PETN, a lethal compound used in global terror attacks. Bomb squads found multiple precursor chemicals at the residence of the pro-mortalist extremist who detonated a car bomb outside an IVF clinic in Palm Springs, California on Saturday. The blast killed Bartkiss and injured 4 others. Neighbors were shocked to learn they'd been living next to what the FBI described as a full-blown bomb lab. The chemical PETN, short for pentaerythritol tetanitrate, is a highly explosive substance similar to nitroglycerin and has been used in attempted and successful terror attacks, including the 1983 Beirut barracks bombings and the 2009 Christmas Day plot. Saturday's explosion tore through the American Reproductive Centers, leveling 1 building and damaging 2 others. The blast shattered windows 3 blocks away and could be felt 7 miles from ground zero, according to local reports.
All right, so I asked ChatGPT to give me the breakdown of what this PETN is. And it says it's one of the most powerful and sensitive military-grade explosives. Military-grade explosives. It's used for military and demolition. If this is involved, it implies a deliberate and highly sophisticated explosive device. And I said, is this difficult to make? It seems odd a kid could do this on his own. Yes, this is very difficult to make, especially without specialized knowledge and equipment. It's not something a typical person, or especially a teenager, well, he is not a teenager, could easily manufacture on their own. Here's why. Requires advanced chemical knowledge. The synthesis involves dangerous nitration reactions with strong acids. Mistakes can easily result in premature detonation or severe chemical burns. So how was he able to successfully do this on the first attempt without any explosions, without any injuries? It just seems like he's some kind of mastermind of bomb making. Access to precursors is restricted. Key ingredients are regulated and watched. In many countries, these would raise red flags. Highly sensitive and dangerous during synthesis. It's very unstable during production. Even professionals handle it with extreme care in lab-grade facilities. This kid apparently was making this in his detached garage. Come on. Requires detonation equipment. This doesn't just explode by being lit on fire. It needs a blasting cap or detonator, which is another barrier to access and use. So how could a kid get it? There are only a few explanations. They didn't make it themselves. They likely obtained it from someone else, online, through illegal markets, or via an adult. They had help, either directly or indirectly. Or it was misreported, possibly. So yes, it's very highly unlikely that this guy could make or require this alone. It would suggest external influence, access to illegal networks, or serious failure and oversight. Despite the complexities involved in producing PETN, Bartkiss had access to significant quantities of it. Investigators are examining how he obtained these materials, considering factors such as his proximity to military installations and potential online sources. why I think the proximity to military installations would be kind of a big red flag that someone else may have been involved in this. What is a patsy? A patsy is someone framed or manipulated to take the blame for a crime they didn't commit, or whose role is exaggerated while the true perpetrators remain hidden. A false flag is an operation designed to appear as though it was carried out by someone else, often used to justify political or military action or to manipulate public opinion. Has the CIA been linked to such tactics historically? All the time, but here's just some few examples that are documented, I guess. MK Ultra. This confirmed real program illustrates the CIA's historical willingness to manipulate individuals for covert purposes. Operation Northwood staging terrorist attacks. COINTELPRO involved infiltrating and discrediting political groups, including by manipulating individuals and creating false narratives. Gladio, alleged stay-behind operations Europe involved staged terror to combat left-wing influence, blah, 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 blah. So hypothetically, would the CIA use patsies? In theory, yes, it is plausible that an intelligence agency could use a patsy to control the narrative, protect covert assets, justify future actions, policy changes, war, increase surveillance, ensure plausible deniability. In summary, yes, agencies have been documented considering or engaging in deceptive tactics, and using patsies and false flag scenarios is within the realm of possibility. So I'm sure I don't need to explain false flags and psyops to the people on this channel, because that's what we've been uncovering through our truth-seeking journey, is how many false flags, psyops, are being perpetrated every single day. And we're just supposed to take this one at face value, especially when it's directly impacting part of our truth community. I'm not saying that we're involved with terrorism, but I'm saying with like not bringing children here and the whole hell realm thing. We are involved with that. That ideology of saying that this place is a hell realm and that we shouldn't be bringing more slaves into it, children. So now we have this false flag that's demonizing people who have that kind of awareness not to bring children into this world. Now we're linked to terrorism. That's crazy how these psychological operations work. So supposedly this is one of his YouTube channels where he made bombs and tested them. I can't watch any of them, so I don't know if it's actually him filming or if it's just other people that he uploaded himself. But these don't look like anything huge or massive that can explode a car and a building. This just kind of looks like child's play compared to that. But what do I know? I know nothing about bombs, and I'm glad I don't, because I don't plan on doing anything like this. I was able to find this news report that supposedly featured some of those explosion videos on his banned YouTube channel now. So I'll play these and show you that these are extremely wimpy in compared to what actually happened. So I do not believe, if this kid is real, I do not believe he was capable of making such a massive bomb like the one that went off and exploded a car and pretty much destroyed a building and blew debris so far out and damaged other buildings. People could feel the shockwave for miles. I do not think this kid was able to pull this off without outside help from the usual suspects.
clinic, ultimately killing himself and hurting 4 others. Those 4 are all back home, by the way, and doing okay. That's according to police. NBC4 Investigates has obtained videos like this one posted to social media, which appear to be linked to 25-year-old Guy Bartkus of 29 Palms. He's the man at the center of the investigation. The videos appear to show him testing out homemade explosives. Several law enforcement sources confirm these videos are being reviewed as part of the investigation, plus messages posted about Bartkus's views that people shouldn't have children. NBC4 Investigates.
So there you go. You saw how wimpy those explosives were. Compared to fireworks, if you ask me. I've seen bigger explosions on 4th of July than that. Supposedly, this is his main YouTube channel, and this is the only archive photo that I can find of it. So it says Black Pill, Death, Pro-Mortalism, and he had 118 subscribers, 7 likes. This looks like a short video, so I'm not sure what this is about. But if anyone was subscribed to this channel and knew anything about this guy, I would love to know more so that I can find out if he was actually real, and so I can get further information on it, because this really gives me no info. In Guy Bartkus's manifesto, he links Adam Lanza of the school incident. And for many of us who have been researching these things, we know that school incidents was another psyop. So it's a coincidence that he is also linked to a previous psyop. It's very strange. Or is it just a coincidence? I read Guy's manifesto and listened to his 30-minute reasoning on why he's doing what he's doing. And after listening to it, it really threw me for a loop, because he sounded legit. He didn't sound like a government op. He sounded like he was speaking as other pro-mortalists on YouTube speak. And he actually understood the philosophy. He wasn't just bullshitting. So I'm like, this is the only real piece of evidence that makes me think that he was actually a real guy. So I'm still confused on that. So this leads me to think that perhaps he was a real guy who was used as a patsy to do a psyop on the public. And he was contacted, he was given all the things he needed to do, and it was carried out. But he had help the whole way. He may not even have driven that car there. It may have been the handlers themselves. So it's very, very peculiar to me. And if we never get a backstory, history, older photos, people coming out who knew him, then it just leads me further to think that he wasn't a real guy, because everyone has a social media history. People know people. People should be coming out saying, oh, I knew that guy. He was like this and that. Here's some old photos of us, or here's some photos of his social media. We just have this one photo to go off of. And that's kind of suspicious to me. I also want to see body cam footage of the police officers and the firefighters who went in there. I want to see video evidence of the firefighters going in there and pulling out the embryos, because it was a huge ordeal. Shouldn't there be pictures, videos of this posted? Because we get videos and pictures of all kinds of common things that happen, and they're posted on YouTube, and there's a whole police investigation involved, and you can go through the whole report. But for most of these big incidences, these false flags, you get no information, you get no paper trail, you get no video trails. It's just, here's what we are presenting, and that is all we're providing you, because we have nothing else to provide for you. So until more video evidence comes out of all of these things happening, I will continue to remain suspicious about this whole thing. And anyone can pose as anyone online. Anyone can write words online. It's not hard to pretend to be someone you're not online. So all of these posts that he made are just in writing. You can't prove that this is actually this guy. And with AI and people who study groups, they could easily create a character who understands the certain ideologies of a certain movement and use that to their advantage to deceive the public into thinking this guy was actually real and he actually knew the philosophy and thus carried out the attack. I'm not saying that that's true. I'm just saying it's a possibility. Anyone can write anything online and pose to be anybody. These operations are thought out long before, so they could easily make a little online trail of this kid so that when this event happens, oh, look, we have this whole little online trail of who this guy is, even though there's no pictures or videos or any more voice recordings of this guy. It's just things that he supposedly wrote. So it's just something to take into account. Oh no, you're getting lost in the conspiracy bog. I know. The Matrix loves playing these little games of follow the breadcrumb trails. I understand that. I just find it interesting. So that's why I'm going over it. So let's watch some potential actors playing the role of eyewitness. In any false flag psyop, you always have these actors who are placed to give their eyewitness accounts. And I find this one very interesting because he says that he was also at the World Trade Center bombing. And he's also at this bombing. And you see in a lot of these psyops that many of these people have been in many psyops. So it's kind of intriguing. Another coincidence, maybe.
I heard this just huge boom.
We heard this massive explosion that I thought was thunder.
I jumped up and ran outside and saw this large black smoke. It was pretty terrifying.
And the fact that there were no cars going by when it happened is beyond amazing. Many lives could have been lost.
I was in Oklahoma City for the Oklahoma bombing. You know, it's just a terrible, terrible, terrifying thing to go through. I just can't believe this happened here.
I meant the Oklahoma City bombing, but come on. This guy was at both of these things. Here's a really funny one. How this guy describes. Just watch it.
All of a sudden we hear a big boom and we're like, wow, what just happened? We look, we notice everyone rushing, pointing, bringing out their cameras. Big cloud of smoke, and we realized, oh my God, something serious happened, and made our way to the front, and we just saw the front of the clinic completely blown out, and we're like, wow, something like super serious just happened over here. But pretty scary scene for Palm Springs, which nothing usually ever happens here.
Wow, something like super serious just happened here.
I was actually at the red light of Takaba and North Palm Canyon Drive, and I literally was at the first car at the red light when the blast hit. And I was using a U-Haul for moving a U-Haul van, very strong. It literally pushed my van back. The burst did, and I didn't know what it was. It was just white smoke and debris going everywhere. So I got out, and first thing people were running and screaming from the hospital everywhere because the windows were out everywhere, in the cancer center and everywhere. So it's kind of trying to help those people as well because they were stuck in these office buildings. We got over there. I started seeing body parts on the street. We were the first people there, me and another guy, and we realized right away that it was live bodies. I mean, body parts, arms, and things like that. Obviously, we didn't photograph that. We did a little bit, not too much. Realized right away that it was live bodies. I mean, body parts, arms, and things like that. Obviously, we didn't photograph that. We did a little bit, not too much. Realized right away that it was live bodies. I mean, body parts, arms, and things like that. Obviously, we didn't photograph that. We did a little bit, not too much. From there, literally, I just started grabbing people and asking if they were witnesses and trying to get them on camera.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Well, it started off early in the morning. Me and my girlfriend, we went to go to the local dispensary, and upon checkout, you just heard a boom and freaked out the guy that was helping me. And next thing you know, we looked to our right outside. It looked like a movie. Everyone was just pointing, getting their cameras out, and we saw this large smoke. So I said, oh my God, let's go see, because it's right next to where we're staying at. And upon pulling up, we see what looked like a human remain on the ground. And then we see a bunch of fire, ambulance, everything, firefighters right there. And I immediately pulled out my phone and started recording from the back end of the clinic of firefighters trying to put it out. And I mean, it was a pretty crazy explosive. You could definitely feel it. It was pretty wild. So it was pretty wild. Pulled out my phone. I felt so bad for the liquor store. And upon coming, I see the IVF clinic. In one of the videos you see as well, he claims he was the police chief on hand right there in regular street clothes, assessing the scene, telling people to back away as well. Pretty wild scene. I mean, to wake up on a Saturday in Palm Springs when you want to chill poolside, not the day we were expecting today. So here's the thing. That remain, it exploded to the street over. So I don't really know the main street names, but in between, so there's one street this way that blew out the clinic, and then you had the other street over here that actually had the remain. And as we pulled up to it, I said, "Babe, that's a human remain." And there was actually some guy hovering over it saying, "Hey, let's get everyone away from this." So I didn't want to get the footage of that. But when I turned back the car around, several minutes later, when ambulance and everything arrived, it confirmed that it was a human remain because they put a drape over it, started blocking it off. And I actually posted a live about an hour ago to my ex account where that street that the human remain was on, they've actually blocked out and secured completely more than the IVF section of the street. So pretty wild. I can only imagine that there's only more of the human remains throughout the street, but it definitely was pretty wild. Thankfully, no one else was hurt. I can't imagine if you were within the immediate vicinity of that blast for you not to get hurt. So I guess it was a car explosion. I mean, a bomb inside of a car that exploded. I mean, it's a shame someone had to stoop to that level. I have no idea what the reasoning would be, but thankfully everyone is okay except for that one person, unfortunately, that didn't survive. Yeah, shout out Palm Springs Police Department and firefighters. They were there within, I would say, less than 60 seconds. I mean, I guess you would never expect something like this to happen in this area, so they were ready. And like I said, the guy who, you see him in one of the videos that I posted, he claims he was the chief of police in regular street clothes talking to another individual. He was there like immediately on top of the firefighters. So shout out to them because they were there within seconds, I would say.
Damn. That was someone's body part.
By someone's body part.
With any good psyop, you need a good story, right? It can't all end in heartbreak and tragedy. You gotta have some kind of hope. Oh, what kind of coincidence is this? Everything was saved? Not one embryo was damaged? It's almost as if they planned the whole thing and protected everything, all their valuable assets. Very strange, huh?
News amid the terror attack, thanks to the quick actions of first responders. Palm Springs Police Chief Andy Mills says all embryos stored inside the clinic were saved. FBI agent Chris Meltzer and Assistant Fire Chief Greg Lyle are being credited with risking their own lives inside the blown-out building to restore electricity to protect those incubators. Police say they also saved medical records, giving hope to those dreaming of starting families.
And we have yet another crazy coincidence, a classic Psyop tale of they should have been there at that exact time, but for some unforeseen miracle of God, they ended up not being there because they had foreknowledge not to be there. Come on.
I'm hesitant to say this, and I'm going to say it. Dr. Abdallah was supposed to be in that office. He was supposed to be sitting in that office at 11 o'clock. He had a meeting, and he ended up taking it on the road. And that very blast site was where he was sitting. He is my business partner, but he is my best friend. He is my cousin. We grew up together. And it's common to have our staff working on Saturday, checking on the embryos, doing paperwork, preparing for the next week. It was an act of God that nobody was there. Not one of our staff showed up. I was livid when this happened. First of all, after my shock wore down, I said, how could this happen? Who did it? How did it happen? I said, something has to be done. And he said, listen, you need to calm down, and this is all, everything happens by the grace of God. Nothing is a mistake. This young man was misguided. I don't blame him. I forgive him. He asked me to reach out to his family and to pay for his funeral services. And I told him, you are such a better man than I am. But that tells you who Dr. Abdallah is, what life means to him, what this clinic that he's built over the past 20 plus years, his whole livelihood of schooling and education and further education. That's who he is. That's what this practice is built off of. It is my honor to bring up the medical director, the founder, my cousin, Dr. Maher Abdallah.
With destroyed buildings, all four of them will need to obviously be demolished and replaced. It doesn't mean much to me. Life is preserved, and that's really all I care about. We will rebuild, and I promise you we'll be on the same site, and it will be better than ever before. I have no doubt that we will bounce back better and than anything before, and we will succeed. I'm very appreciative of the City Council, the Mayor, and all they've done, helping us get a space right away. On Tuesday, we'll be up and running again. The past couple of weeks, one of the local physicians, Dr. El-Beghi, was gracious enough to allow me to use his office so that we can do basic ultrasounds. So we continued seeing patients, even on Monday morning after the Saturday attack. We served our patients, we did not stop. Our phone numbers were obviously, our phones were destroyed. We came up with ways to still help patients. We will return, and we will be better than ever before, I have no doubt. And this did not derail our project. Like Amr said, 2025 was our best year because we really invested in that building to create what we call a perfect vacuum, a perfect environment for the embryos. And that really showed in what happened, and that we had embryos still dividing in the incubators. 5 days later, we looked at those embryos, and through a miracle, 8 of them were perfect, what we call blastocysts, 4AA perfect embryos. I guarantee that the patient that has those embryos will go home with a child. Personally guarantee it. This is a miracle. 4 buildings were destroyed, 1 building remained standing. Even the frames on the wall were not affected. How does that happen? It's a miracle for life. I'm grateful, I'm thankful. I can't think of anything more. We will rebuild, bounce back, come back better than ever before. Material damage does not affect me in any way, and I don't even think about it. As far as the perpetrator of this, I do forgive him. I wish his family the best, and we all pray for them. And I instructed my staff not to look back, but to look ahead. No one is allowed to talk about the person who did this. This is about forgiveness. This is about life, and we'll carry on. Thank you.
Did you hear that? So no one is allowed to talk about what happened. No one is allowed to ask any questions. No one is allowed to ask who this guy is. No one is allowed to say anything. You're just going to sweep it under the rug and enjoy your new building and all your eggs and have a happy life producing children. Isn't that a little suspicious? Wouldn't you have a lot of trauma and emotional damage from what happened if you worked there? Wouldn't you want to talk about it? Wouldn't you need therapy? Wouldn't you isn't that healthy to get some kind of support and finding out why this happened, who this kid is? No. You can't talk about it because you're going to ask too many questions and we're not going to allow you to think for yourself. Possibly, hey, maybe this is real. This could all be real. But I'm saying, how many coincidences and how many weird things need to happen to make you think, that is kind of weird. There's so much more things I could talk about or add to this, but I just wanted to give it a go at making this sort of video for the first time. I'm not saying this is the facts. All I'm saying is, this is kind of weird. Maybe we should look into this a little more and ask more questions. Because, as we know, all throughout history, it's full of these false flags and psyops. So, I always ask questions. I always think deeper. And I always want to know what actually happened. But like I said before, the Matrix will give you breadcrumbs to keep chasing and keep looking down all the rabbit holes to all these different conspiracies. I get that. And now I'm tired of this conversation. Well, this video at least. I don't want to put any more energy into it. I'm done. I'm moving on. So, yeah. Let me know what you think. And catch you later.